Hi, I'm Dong Sean. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to review unique perspectives. Today, we are discussing a news story that disappeared from Caixin's website almost as quickly as it appeared. According to the report, Bai Bing, a post-1990s assistant judge at Beijing's Third Intermediate People's Court, absconded with hundreds of millions of yuan in court execution funds just before the May Day holiday and successfully fled to Japan. Even more astonishing, he had secretly acquired Greek citizenship and transferred his money out of China prior to his escape. Caixin broke this story first, but within 24 hours, the article was removed. Social media keywords related to the case were blocked, search results were erased, and comment sections are swiftly shut down. This level of censorship makes it clear this is a topic you are not supposed to discuss, share, or even consider emulating. Yet, when the Communist Party demands silence, that's precisely when we must speak out and spread the word. Why is the Chinese Communist Party so sensitive about this case? The reason is straightforward. It's a glaring example, and it's deeply embarrassing for them. China maintains a stringent oversight of bank accounts with even tighter control on cross-border financial transactions. Yet, Bai Bing, a young, low-level official within the system, expertly navigated the judicial system, evaded bank safeguards, bypassed foreign exchange restrictions, and severed his identity to execute a flawless escape. In doing so, he demonstrated not only that the system's vulnerabilities exist, but they can be exploited with precision. Today, we must address this case because it's more than a corruption scandal. It may signal the beginning of a wave of defections from within the system. So, what exactly transpired? According to the now deleted Caixin report, Bai Bing, a post-1990s native of Shanxi, served as an assistant judge in the execution division of Beijing's Third Intermediate People's Court. His role gave him access to the court's execution system, handling cases involving debt repayments and asset seizures. Using his position, he forged execution notice to divert funds that the defendants had paid into the court, money intended for claimants into private accounts he controlled or shell accounts registered under false names. These weren't small sums. We are talking about hundreds of millions of yuan transferred through what appeared to be legitimate court process. Remarkably, the entire court system failed to notice. Then, just before the May Day holiday, Bai Bing vanished and fled to Japan. By then, he was no longer a Chinese citizen, but a Greek national, with his identity detached, his Chinese household registration intact, his passport discarded, and his money already overseas. This was a meticulously executed escape. Currently, China has issued a warrant for his arrest. However, Japan has no extradition treaty with China, and Bai Bing has committed no crimes under Japanese law. As a result, China, despite its outrage, is powerless to act. Let's now examine how Bai Bing accomplished this feat and carried out this remarkable escape. This young man was no impulsive actor. His was a carefully planned, methodical, and highly sophisticated operation. The first step: how did he access the court's execution funds? Court execution funds are payments made by defendants, such as a fraud syndicate compensating victims through the court, which then disperses the money to claimants. The millions Bai Bing stole were funds seized from a fraud syndicate intended for victims. Instead, he intercepted them. How did he manage this? Typically, transferring execution funds requires court staff to present an execution notice to the bank, with the 2 court employees signing off. However, China's judicial system wields significant authority, and the banks rarely scrutinize the details. As long as a court representative arrives with the proper documents and credentials, the bank complies. In practice, courts often send only one person to handle these transactions, and the banks don't question it. This provided Baibing his opportunity. By producing a forged execution notice and visiting the bank himself, he ensured the bank processed the transfer without hesitation. Baibing then exploited another vulnerability, the court's digitized operations. Courts now operate fully electronically, and execution notices are no longer stamped, official documents, but simple printout generated by the system. Previously, forging a document requires stealing a stamp or mimicking a signature. Now, a few clicks produce a notice. As an insider in the execution system, Baibing knew exactly how to create a counterfeit notice that was virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. Crucially, banks lack the means to verify the authenticity of court documents. The court and the banking systems are not interconnected, and the bank staff neither have the ability nor the obligation to validate a court document's legitimacy or investigate the underlying process. As long as the representative is from the court, the credentials are valid, and the document appears genuine, the bank executes the transfer. Oversight protocols don't require banks to confirm whether the recipient is the court-designated party. This allowed Baibing to legally redirect the funds into accounts he controlled, with the entire process appearing seamless. The second step: how did he move the money overseas? This presented two challenges. First, how do you transfer billions of yuan without triggering anti-money laundering systems? Second, how do you discreetly send that money abroad? It's likely he employed a three-pronged strategy: fragmenting the funds, using underground money changers, and leveraging cryptocurrency. He couldn't transfer billions into a single account. That would be too conspicuous and impossible to launder. Instead, he probably divided the execution funds into hundreds or thousands of smaller transfers, each worth a few 100,000 yuan, sent to various accounts he controlled, including proxy accounts, relatives accounts, or shell company accounts. Having worked in the court system for a decade, dealing with economic disputes and fraud cases, Baibing likely knew individuals in the gray market who could supply hundreds of clean accounts or assist in laundering the money. In China, the police and criminals often collude, and the courts have their own intermediaries. With these accounts in place, Baibing could transfer the funds to underground money changers who collect yuan domestically while depositing equivalent foreign currency into his overseas accounts. This offset method bypasses foreign exchange reporting systems, evading scrutiny entirely. An even more secure approach involves underground crypto brokers. By sending the fragmented funds to a broker, Baibing could receive USDT or Bitcoin in an offshore cold wallet from an overseas address. This method avoids using a bank card to buy crypto, engaging with exchanges, or leaving identity traces on the blockchain, ensuring a clean exit for the funds. While ordinary Chinese citizens might trigger anti-money laundering alerts simply by purchasing cryptocurrency, facing immediate account freezes, Baibing, as an insider with expertise, utilized a specialized, coordinated, and pre-arranged underground network, something beyond the reach of the average person. The final step, Baibing secured a backup identity. In China, government employees, even contract workers, must surrender their passports to their employers, and international travel requires rigorous approval. Yet, Baibing secretly obtained a Greek passport. How? He likely purchased a fast-track passport from a Pacific Island nation such as St. Kitts, where payments grants citizenship. Though limited in utility, such a passport can facilitate a European investment immigration. Using it, Bai Bing could purchase property in Greece to obtain long-term residency, eventually leading to Greek citizenship. This process required no international travel, and neither China's household registration system nor its foreign exchange authorities would have detected it. Armed with a Greek passport, he fled to Japan with his billions. Why Japan? Japan doesn't rigorously scrutinize incoming foreign funds, lacks an extradition treaty with China, and has a low entry threshold. A Chinese appearance blends seamlessly into Japanese East Asian population. The Japanese tend to respect privacy, maintain politeness, and keep their distance. As a destination for someone with billions, Japan is an excellent choice. Thus, Bai Bing stole money, shared his Chinese identity, and executed a pristine escape, a calculated and brilliant young strategist. This brings us to a critical question. Why has China suppressed all mention of this case? Caixin's report was online for less than a day before it was deleted. Platforms like Weibo, Zhihu, Bilibili, and Xiaohongshu saw topics vanish overnight. Searches yielded nothing, comments were blocked, and the silence descended. This isn't merely a sensitive issue, it's a top priority blackout. Why? Bai Bing's case isn't just about an official embezzling billions. It exposed a fundamental weakness in the Communist Party's system and provided a live demonstration of how to escape it legally. This was a devastating blow. A young assistant judge expertly exploited vulnerabilities in the execution system, forged documents to deceive banks, and legally transferred court funds into his accounts. This reveals that the court's digital reform haven't enhanced security. They've widened the gaps. The judicial system, which appears just, is riddled with systemic theft. Many overseas may not realize that China's judicial system has the highest crime rate among government sectors. At one point, banks even blacklisted judicial employees from loans. An ironic twist. The very institutions tasked with enforcing the law are often the most prolific offenders. Moreover, Bai Bing's case served as a comprehensive escape manual: how to acquire funds, launder them, change identity, exit the country, and choose a destination. He executed each step flawlessly. To many, this resembles an insider's guide to defection. This terrifies the party, who fear that others within the system will realize it's possible and that someone succeeded. Over the past decade, Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign has consolidated power and eliminated rivals, but also curtailed the benefits that kept the system loyal. Discontent is rife. Officials fear him, but also resent him. Profits have dwindled, and the threat of investigation or arrest looms constantly, leaving little sense of security. Many are likely frustrated by the lack of an outlet. Bai Bing's escape has opened a Pandora's box, acting as a final release valve. It's as if he's saying, if you won't let us thrive, we will leave and take your money. That's why the party must suppress this, silence it, and erase it from the internet. The case doesn't merely undermine the judicial system's credibility, it threatens the party's control over its entire apparatus. Consider this. If insiders begin abandoning the system in droves, what then? The party's already fragile structure would collapse faster. Some view Bai Bing's case as another instance of China's system corruption, but I disagree. This isn't a typical corruption case. It's a calculated counter-strike by a low-level insider against the Communist Party's system. Bai Bing mastered the processes, exploited the vulnerabilities, planned meticulously, and escaped cleanly, leaving a blueprint for others. For those inside the system, this is an invitation to flee. For Xi Jinping, it is a profound betrayal. The party's frantic suppressions of this case reflects their fear. The more it spreads, the faster trust erodes, and the more will defect. If even a junior assistant judge can pinpoint the system's weakness and escape with billions, what credibility does the party have to proclaim its institutional confidence? Wouldn't you agree? Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my videos to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.